All right, Gemini. Welcome, everybody. I'm really looking forward to helping you traverse the next 6 to 8 weeks of messages here. We're going to be looking at the month of November. I know it's October. The beginning portion will actually cover the October messages, and then as we get into the Celtic Cross, it'll help you with the November stuff. And I'm so happy to hear and be with you today as well. Lots of messages coming through as I was channeling. I'm going to put Apollo down so we can talk about this. A couple of totems that I don't think I've dealt with before. And I kind of asked Spirit, are you sure that you want me to do this? And yes, nothing else came through. So we're going to talk in just a moment about how the mushroom and tree frog is going to connect with you. Two really cool totems, actually. The more research, I felt like I could have continued to research this for another hour as I got this, but I picked up the high points and how this is going to connect with you, and we'll talk about it in just a second. If you're brand new, you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with today's reading? Well, I always like to begin with spirit totems. So just like I use the cards and we have, a certain amount of symbols that help us decode things, I also work with my guides to pull in extra symbols, usually from nature. It can also be kind of cosmic things. We'll talk about different things beyond this planet, but usually I do something here on the earthly plane, and that helps me give you some additional advice. So we'll start with that, messages from spirit. Then we'll begin the Celtic Cross portion after that, where we look at all of the positive stuff, all of the challenges, and I try to help you navigate it. I always let that take on whatever flavor it needs to, so that I'm not solely talking about love for like an hour and a half, because there's more than that. We have to look at ourselves, and I really kind of focus it on personal growth and opportunities around you. Sometimes that includes love, sometimes it's focused on other things. I do expand the forecast so that I can highlight on the main areas that all of us care about, like health, wealth, love, and destiny. Then after that, I will talk a little bit about the big idea of all of that. And then we go on to the next portion, where we'll look at blessings, good things, blocks, potential things that could take us off path. And then I usually throw a question out to you to vote on, while I'll also do something that I'm curious about, like a soul path question. After we wrap up all of that, we'll do a meditation. And then at the very end, if there's something that I didn't cover here in this general reading, you can meditate on it, and I'll pull a final card. And that's the way that I structure the reading. I think it's exciting, and there's a lot of different aspects that I look at. It's all the things that I would want to know for myself, so I try to help you guys with that as well. Okay? So I think we can get started here. Just a couple of quick notes as I begin. I have a moderator here that can help out. Her name is Maria. So if you have any questions, Maria Margarita can give you a hand with that. If you'd like to show some support, one easy way to do that is just to hit the thumbs up. And if you're new, hit the subscribe button so that you'll be able to keep in touch and know when I do new videos or special videos. So that's a great way to show support. You can also, as you've seen here, there's a couple of folks here, Touche and Isha Marie, that have given some super chat or super sticker contributions. You can do that right here. And at the very end, I'll say thank you to everybody that did it, but I save that until the end. What that does is it helps me keep doing more videos and buy new supplies. In fact, we'll be using a crystal pyramid at the end for the sound bath. And this is brand new, and it's thanks to all of your contributions. So I'm always looking at new ways to give back. All right, so let's get started, and we'll talk more about different ways to connect with me, but there's a lot of messages to unpackage, and I want to get into the reading right now. One last thing, I don't take questions here. Save that final question for the end when I pull the card, and that's when you can kind of interact. Okay, so let's get into your totems. I'm going to start with the mushroom, which again, as I was taking a shower this morning, I thought, really, I'm going to talk about mushrooms. Yes, and I'm so glad that I did, because they're much more sort of complicated and rich of the symbols than I kind of gave them credit for. So most of us think of just the mushroom as something being above the surface. But as I did my research on this particular totem, there's a bigger network of, it's basically the fruit-bearing portion of fungi. And there's all these sort of roots. And you've probably seen this if you've ever dug up a mushroom, or if there's any sort of decaying matter and you're digging things up, you'll see that it actually, just like a tree, has roots. And they're pretty interesting, actually, and they can go pretty deep if I kind of get closer in on some of these. So when you see a mushroom cap on the surface, that is part of a big underground network of a larger sort of organism. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how it's going to connect to you and why Spirit wanted me to research it. So I always give a little bit of facts first, and then I give a lot of context into how it applies to you. So first of all, mushrooms, just as they connect to me and as my guides were kind of showing it to me, it's all about moving past stagnation. Because when do they occur in life? When out on the planet, when something is sort of rotten and needs to kind of transform, when something's stuck, when something's stagnant, that's when you start to see mushrooms come in. And they're an important form of transforming things into something else. Otherwise, that log would be there forever. So we want things to kind of go on the inside. We want things to go on the outside. We need them to break down. They help us break things down, get a bigger, take something and make it something different. So that in and of itself is transformation. And it's also a rebirth. Out of the death of one thing comes the birth of another thing. So it's actually a living symbol, and it's a transformative symbol. And I actually take the sort of positive side of this, which is it's moving through or past stagnation, or using something that was once stagnant to kind of come back. So it's like judgment, basically. It's a new beginning. Okay, they are an ancient organism on this planet, dating back to earlier than people thought, like 715 to almost 800 million years ago. Not as old as the Earth by any stretch, but actually older than or as old as some of the earliest trees, which at the time were maybe just 2 or 3 feet tall. And I did some research, and it sounds like some of these earlier mushrooms were like 24 feet tall at the beginning. They found a, basically, I can't think of it, one that was buried under the earth. I'll think of it, a fossil. Thank you. A fossilized version of this prehistoric mushroom that sort of surprised them at the height of it and the width of it as well. So at the beginning, there were just as many maybe mushrooms on the planet as there were these little tiny trees, which I think is fascinating. So it's since then become a smaller organism, like many things have from prehistoric times. But at the beginning, it was pretty big. What I thought was interesting was, again, the network, kind of like aspen trees grow in a network. The same thing happens with these. So you see one, there's actually a really rich network in the forest. And this is something that we're starting to understand. If you take down one tree, if you pick one mushroom, you're actually affecting a very big network of other organisms. So it's not just a singular sort of thing. And that's what I wanted to kind of focus on here, is this underground network, right? So remember that a lot of your personal growth, a lot of the work and the action that's happening for you, Gemini, in this moment, is probably happening beneath the surface. This is frustrating for us sometimes, because what that means is that you're waiting for some sort of an outward sign for something to happen, and it could be very subtle. And this is saying that you need to pay attention so you can see that one little moment opening up, like one little mushroom popping up and thinking, aha, this is the signal, this is the time. This symbol coming through for you is reminding you that now actually is the time to embrace something that's been happening, something that's been changing. This could have been an internal understanding. So again, it's very much judgment is what I'm getting here. So sometimes judgment reverse can be a disbelief in one's calling or oneself, or an understanding, or I guess being sort of unprepared or unready to embrace a higher understanding. Like, I know I need to do this. This could be leaving a job, starting a new company, asking someone out, breaking up in a relationship, something big, not something small, something that is transformative. It's scary because it means that things will change. And the mushroom is a symbol of change. So to embrace this new growth and this sort of reaching up, it also reaches up. It's getting out of the dirt, out of the old stuff, and it's creating something new. We have to make that change. We have to speak, we have to act, we have to type something or text something. So you are the agent of change. I didn't even get into this, but basically they reproduce with spores. So this is also a fertility or an abundance symbol. So again, that's why it's judgment. That's why it would also kind of lead you to the world, which is expansion. So it's kind of interesting that those two cards are very close. So you have to kind of understand and believe in order for that action to happen. So the longer that I've read tarot, the more that I kind of understand why it's judgment first and then the world. Because we have to sort of let go of our old selves. And there's a little bit of, whenever you start something new, have you ever noticed this? There's this combination or this juxtaposition even of happiness and then also a little bit of sadness because you're stepping away from something. So graduation is a really good example, high school, college, whatever, or the same thing, even if you're getting married, you're celebrating the connection between you and another person, but also giving up sort of like what you had been sort of as a single person before. So there's always movement and release and sort of growth. So you always have to let something go to allow something else to happen. And that's really what this symbol is about. Because it is a fruit, at least if it's the fruit-bearing portion of a fungal network, it's also telling me that the fruits of your labor are starting to pay off. In some decks, judgment is kind of shown as that sort of harvest season. It might even be harvest in a few of the older decks. So think of what you're ready to let go of and harvest and basically reap the rewards of. If you hold on to it too long, like any sort of fruit or vegetable, it's going to go bad. And so there is a time. And so this is kind of like a ripeness of opportunity and a moment where it's time to kind of like go for it. Otherwise it passes and you have to wait again. The other thing with this is we're looking at that network that I talked about. The collective voice or vision is going to be stronger than a single voice alone. So find a way to get a grassroots connection happening. So a group of people, a consensus, because then the powers that be will have no choice but to listen. We've seen a lot of this in modern days with like hashtag movements, right? So, or social media movements where a lot of things happen and then corporate entities have no choice but to kind of retract or change or move or acknowledge their shortcomings. So perfect example of the power of voices. And because of technology, we can just put a symbol to it and then it connects all of these voices together and someone has to see it. So it can be as modern as like a hashtag and a social media movement. It can be as old school as grassroots efforts, which is kind of like knocking on doors, getting signatures, getting people together to represent a bigger change. So you don't have to do it alone. It's basically what this would say. How do you want to connect? Are you ready to connect? Do you believe in yourself enough to kind of fight for that? If you're having trouble getting something done alone, or if you've noticed something that's not right, this is where the grassroots portion might come in really handy. So if you're trying to fight against an injustice or a policy or something like that that isn't quite right, this is the way to do it. Get some other people. You're not alone. Okay? Accept and embrace your higher calling. Just like judgment and tarot, your higher self knows exactly what to do. We see Gabriel in that card, typically kind of making an announcement, but this can also indicate that higher calling or the higher messages that are coming through from yourself, your soul, which where I'm pointing up at wherever it might be. Listen to that. Listen to what's coming through your third eye. What's kind of the voice that's in your head that's telling you, I need to do this now. It's not going to lead you astray. Some questions that you can think about that Spirit wanted me to pass along to you to help you make sort of like the next move in your life would be, first of all, where do you feel stuck? Where are you stagnating? Are you stuck at work? Are you stuck in your relationship? Are you stuck with your health? We all have areas where we're not seeing the movement. That's where you need to focus first. This will help you prioritize. And the next one is, what's holding you back from now making this change? Once you understand where you're stuck or where you want to grow, what is it that is holding you down or holding you back? The next symbol, the tree frog, actually has a big connection to the Four of Pentacles because these little suction cups will grab onto things and hold on for dear life. But there's a little bit of it here. The mushroom wants you to kind of move past and transform. As I said earlier, branch out, like we saw the underground sort of network of those root-like structures and filaments that help the fungal network grow. So branch out like that. You can also reach out, just like we saw the mushroom cap doing. Either way, change is happening. It's closer than you think, and it's easier than you think. But it involves, the hardest thing whenever you're going to do or say something is to say it and believe it internally first. So practice maybe just saying something alone in your house and seeing how it feels once you've said it, and then say it to someone else. This can be, again, as freeing as I quit, or as connecting and big as, I love you. Both of those they're kind of like on the opposite end of the spectrum, but they have the same sort of thing where it's going to be either attaching to or detaching from something. Okay, let's move on to the next totem, or the next part of your reading, which is going to be the tree frog. By the way, I should say this, both with the mushroom and the tree frogs, some of these are poisonous, some of them are not. And so with this, there's this sort of hidden thing that you're going to be looking at. Where everybody's in a retrograde from now until the 17th. It started on September 27th, and October 17th is when it's going to be done. So some of you watching live, you're still in it. By the time this is finished in November, you should be completely out of it. So I'm kind of intending this reading to be for November, but if you're watching it live, then this is all going to make sense. There could be some things that you are going to be careful of to make sure that you don't have to get into that energy. So clearing out toxins in your life, whether it's relationships or habits, is going to be really important, because both of the totems today had toxicity, but they also had a lot of positive stuff. So I think it's about being discerning and recognizing the good mushrooms or the good tree frogs from the ones that could hurt you. Okay, so let's take a look. Tree frogs are really cute, actually. Anyway, let me see if I can pull a head-on face of one of these. Here we go. Let's see. All right, so there's your tree frog. Great, lovely creatures, and you can see with some of these little close-ups here that it's the pads on their feet that kind of clamp onto things, which is amazing. They have the ability to hold on in even the most sort of unusual circumstances, so I like that. Overall, it's a symbol of movement, power, and surprises. Could be hidden truths too, because we talked about the fact that some of them can secrete a sort of toxic substance. This is to make them less appealing to predators. They can also irritate our own skin if we hold them. So not all are bad. Some have more than others, but basically that's something to think about. Although these are small little creatures, they've evolved this ability to hold on for dear life with their toe pads and just also their strength. So they're like a hidden strength symbol. You could also kind of put the strength card in this totem and it would make a lot of sense. You have the capacity to make new ideas stick this month because of that ability, again, for them to hold on. So if there's something that hasn't worked before, retrograde is the perfect time to try it again. So retry would fit in with all the RE words. If you didn't know that, in retrograde, you can like review, repair, retry, reassign, reconfigure, basically taking something that was and redoing it. Typically starting something new can be tricky, but fixing something or trying it again, this is the time. And even in November, you're going to be still feeling some of that energy. So work with that. I think that's going to be key. Something will stick this time. Think about 8 of Cups now with this. So you're getting to return and you're getting a second chance. And maybe this time it's going to be the one that really succeeds. So a little bit of 8 of Cups there. The 4 of Pentacles is the one thing that you want to avoid, which is holding on to something for dear life. Because with this totem, I was thinking which card in tarot really connects with that? It would be that. Because if you see that picture in tarot, there's the guy that holds on to that coin and he's pulling it close to his heart. And what it symbolizes in tarot is the feeling or the ability, well, not the ability, the feeling or the belief that maybe this is as good as it gets. Maybe if I try something else, I'll fail and then I'll wish that I would have done this. Maybe this is all the money that I'm going to get. It's a limiting belief or thought. It's holding on. Also, when manifesting, it would be wanting something too much or so much that the universe thinks you're not ready, because you need to be able to take it or leave it to really allow for manifestation to set in. So a little bit of a deep breath, a little bit of trying to talk yourself out of the fears that we often have. I would say fear is what rules the 4 of Pentacles. Fear and uncertainty, and sometimes maybe ignorance. So if you educate yourself, if you trust yourself and you listen to your higher calling, hey buddy, then things are going to work out for you. Okay. So those are the messages with that piece. If you really want to focus on bringing in abundance, letting go of things in your life, I said fear, but one of the other things that you can do to show spirit that you're not afraid is to give away some old stuff. So this could be, let's say you've got old clothes from a job that you don't work at anymore. Maybe you are now in a more sort of casual job and you've got all these work clothes that you're not going to need, and they're just gathering dust in there. You could sell them, you could donate them, you could give them to someone. Giving them to someone or giving them to a charitable cause is going to be exactly the kind of energy that you want here, because you're telling the universe that used to mean something to me, and it is worth value, but I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to give it away because I know that more is coming my way. So you don't actually need to give away money. You can give away time, you can give away things, you can do an exchange. But when you sort of get into the energy of releasing something rather, then it's going to show the universe that no longer are you holding on for dear life. So let's send some more to that person because they're ready to receive. You can't, if your hands and your arms are open, things can come in. If it's this way, it won't happen if you're holding on for dear life. And that's why it doesn't work with manifestation. You need to be open like an ace card, right? So think about being an ace of pentacles, an ace of cups, ace of swords, ace of wands, whatever it is you're trying to create in your life, open up to that, okay? As I said, the poisonous or toxic secretions that the tree frogs can sometimes produce, it's a reminder of 5 or 7 of swords energy. So pick your battles wisely. I've been saying this quite a bit during retrograde, but it's important. I think the really important thing here is about communication, because we are either in retrograde or on the heels of retrograde, depending on when you watch this. So know this: if you say something and you have to look around or have to sort of think, is this the right place? Don't say it. You should only be saying things that you expect to get back to source, and you would be okay with that happening. Or not source, but getting back to the person that you're talking about, or just getting around. Because that network that we talked about, we also have a little bit of 3 of Cups here, where people will be talking. There'll be some gossip. So I would just hold it. It should be elevated conversations. No gossip, no negative. At least if you're going to say something critical, it has to be constructive. So if you can't put it in those, frame it in those terms, this isn't the time. You want to be careful. And there may be others around you that are just holding on to hurt feelings too, and you just want to be very careful. So with the 5 of Swords, you usually can't win an argument. With the 7 of Swords, there may be someone that says they're, you can trust me, but you can't, and then they gossip too. So just be careful with conversations this month, and avoid people that either participate in that or try to get you to participate in it, and just say, I have nothing to add. I'm not involved with this. Now, if something is wrong and you need to report that, then that's a whole different matter. If someone's saying something hurtful, you should just say stop. And in fact, I'm going to talk to someone about this because it's not correct. So if you have to take a side, take the side of this isn't right. Otherwise, try to just extricate yourself, get out of that. It's not worth the sort of issues that are going to be associated with that. All right, the final bit that I have here with the tree frogs are that they have this cool kind of combination of being up in the air, but also attached to a grounded symbol. So they are grounded, yet they have a bird's eye view. So this month, the air portion of it is perfect for you, Gemini. So use your natural nature to be able to see things from all angles, which you can do even better than some of the other air signs, because you can kind of really look at it from all the different directions, which is great. But try to ground yourself. And this is important for Gemini because sometimes you can get stuck in the air. So using trees are actually a great form of meditation. So maybe we can do that today. But trying to ground yourself in the facts, the bigger idea of what it is you need to focus on, maybe having someone in your life that is a sort of project manager type that can sort of help you pull it together, and you're the dreamer or the person that kind of comes up with the big ideas. Somehow bringing it into execution is going to be key. How are you going to ground yourself? I think if you do that, you have all the power of the tree frog, the ability to make things stick, the ability to jump, make something move, a leap of faith. I didn't even put that in here, a little bit of the Fool card. But most importantly, to be attached to something that's safe and without kind of holding back or holding in too much. So the tree frog actually had a lot to teach us as well, which is important, I think. One final thing, I just ran out of time as I was writing all the cards, but this was something that came through in dreams, and I'd like to share it with you. In my dreams, I was looking at an old place that I used to live at, and I had no desire to go in or even like look in, see what it looked like, look at the exterior. Instead, I was kind of focusing on this beautiful garden in front. And what I was seeing with the juxtaposition of the past as symbolized by an old residence, and then this abundance symbol, which was this garden where everything was in bloom, so much that it didn't even make sense. I thought, how could this be possible? There's flowers everywhere. What I would say for you is that growth requires not being stuck in the past. I was traveling with a guide, and they said, you want to go into that old house? I'm like, nah, I don't live there anymore. That isn't, these are better days now than what I experienced there. So no, I'd rather smell the flowers and then I'd rather move on to the next portion of the journey. Take time to enjoy this moment, smell the flowers. Don't feel like you have to retread and try to relive the past or fit into some cookie cutter of what you used to be, because you're not that anymore. And whatever that means to you, understand that it's okay to be where you're at now. You don't have to. I don't think we can go back sometimes. And it's even a cautionary note for those of you that maybe decide to go back to an old office or an old relationship. Make sure that it still fits you. Sometimes when you go into like your childhood home, everything seems smaller, right? Or if you look at your old elementary school or high school, it's like, was it always this small? Was it always like this? So you've outgrown some of these old habits. I mention that because retrograde naturally kind of pulls in things like the Eight of Cups. And this is a chance for you to kind of think, do I really want to go back to that? Okay, so that's the final piece from my guides that I wanted to share. So let me neatly stack these cards up, and let's get ready to take a look at the cards and see what the tarot cards have to say. What I'm going to be reading now is going to apply to the next 6 to 8 weeks. For some of you that follow me a lot, this will probably resonate now. For those of you that might be new, again, give this a chance. You can combine this with what's already on the channel. So I have readings for October, which are all up on my main page. And then this is meant to help you forecast out to next month as well. So depending on how much you watch and kind of how in the flow of energy you are, you may want to come back. And when you come back to this reading, even in another day or two, I'll have chapter titles in there so that you can click on certain sections. So feel free to come back as you need to. You'll get additional, hopefully, understanding as the weeks and months progress. All right, so I'm going to shuffle the cards in front of me. You can also use this, by the way, for your sun, your rising, and for your moon sign, and really any aspect of your chart, Venus as well. So feel free to tune in if you happen to know all of your placements. There's our Eight of Cups. There's the World card, which is great, telling me some of you have already moved past the Judgment phase, which is good. There's our Seven of Swords. And that's why I use the totems, because a lot of times the symbols that they bring through come right through in these cards, and they help us understand them a little bit more. And the Seven of Swords was in your environment, which makes a lot of sense. So I don't feel like it's something that's going to affect you personally, but it's around you, so you need to be careful of it. There's a lovely flower bee symbol coming through, which is great. Okay, let's take a look at all your messages and apply it to the month ahead. We'll begin with the Catalyst card. The Catalyst card is a great way to connect to everything that's possible and to try to stay on that higher path. So we have a Warrior card here, and it says, be fearless and stand strong. So for some of you, this is about finding your voice, believing in yourself, kind of just being able and willing to stand up and say, this is what I want. The universe often waits for us to declare or to kind of go after something. If we are too passive and expect something to come to us, it may happen or it may not happen. And I remind people of this when they're looking for love. There are a lot of folks that think, you know, especially it depends, but traditionally if I'm reading for a woman, they're like, I want, and they date men, because not everyone dates men. So they would say, I'm waiting for my partner to come to me. Well, maybe your partner's waiting for you to come to you. And this holds true for men and women. I just use that as an example. But if you're just waiting for the perfect moment, this is saying fight for what it is that you want. Go after it. Hunt it out. like take an active role in that, kind of like a knight would. When I see this card, I'm getting kind of like knight energy. So whatever it is that you want in your life, a job, a project, a partner, change, you're the agent of this, and you have to fight for it, and you have to stake a claim for that as well. So that's the important piece that I'm getting with this, is to stand strong and stand up for your ideas. Also, if somebody approaches you and says, "Are you sure about that?" That doesn't mean that they don't believe in it. Sometimes people just want to sort out, do you believe in it? And if you do, then they're really on board. If you don't, then they think, well, maybe you've got more work to do. So if you truly believe in something, say that you do, and say it with conviction. If you want something, then be fearless enough to go after it, to talk to someone. If you don't ask, even if you don't want to ask someone out, for instance, if we're going to talk about a date, just start a conversation. Whatever, just bring something up. Say, hey, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, this, and this, and then start naturally kind of having a nice conversation and see if there's a way that the energy starts to mix. You have to do your part and meet someone halfway. But the same is true for getting representation if you're an artist, for buying a house and fighting for the one that you want. Whatever it is, there's a little bit of struggle and a little bit of standing up for yourself that's going to be important this month, okay? Hopefully that helps. Let's take a look at your center card, which I love, by the way. We have the Four of Wands here, smack dab in the center. The Four of Wands here is showing us sort of this intersection of opportunity, and it looks like good opportunity of abundance here. Normally, the Four of Wands is representative of a partnership, and a good one, like best friends, marriage, or just this really great exchange where you have each other's back. What I'm seeing here is that you may have a few different people coming into your life that are putting compelling opportunities in front of you. So for those of you that are looking for a job, and maybe you have been for a while, all of a sudden when it rains, it pours. And I was talking to, who was it I read for Taurus last about that with manifestation. You might manifest a lot at once, and you're going to have to make a choice here. And that's what we see in these paths. Maybe they're kind of equally weighted choices, all of them looking pretty good. So this is why you fight. And I said there's kind of knight-like energy, and this reminds me of a knight here in the Four of Wands. So you're going to be rewarded for the work that you've done, the vision that you have for standing up for yourself. All of this is looking pretty good. There could be a new friend coming in. You might be reconnecting with an old friend. Whatever it is, I really like the energy with partnership, which is why the communal energy of the fungus network that I was talking about earlier is applied to this symbol as well. Okay. We have the Nine of Wands right on top of this. The Nine of Wands is a reminder for us to never give up, to keep fighting, to keep pushing. And so this is the survivor card, if there was one in tarot. It can also be a little bit pushy. And because it's just crossing this card, there's really not a lot of negative connotations here. I would say the important things to remember is you've worked this hard to get to exactly where you're at. Push a little bit more to get to the next level. That's why the warrior came through. And then also for you, don't be afraid to push back or push a little bit to get other people to see your point of view if you need to. There may be a lot of voices in the room. You want yours to stand out. Sometimes this card can show that you have finally kind of regained your power after being pummeled a little bit by all the powers that may be. So this could be just being discouraged because people have said things to you like you can't, you won't do this, etc., or just because things haven't worked out before. Remember, the power of this particular Mercury retrograde, which again is happening from September 27th until October 17th. So it will be finishing up this month. It will be ready by the time this reading has been scheduled to sort of apply, so in November. But you still have that energy of change that you'll be riding the wave of. If you're watching it live, you're right in the middle. If you're going to be watching it in November, you can still kind of ride that final wave and make something happen. So push through. This is a push through month, okay? We have the Page of Cups in the deep past. You've done the work. Many of you have really been working on yourselves. This is a time for you now to celebrate that. This is also why you have pretty attractive energy here at the center. So this is welcoming someone in. This is opening up and actually putting that, if we were to imagine like a hotel, it's taking the no off and it's just saying, welcome, open for business. Like no vacancy is gone. You're now open for business. So it's good for those of you that are small business owners. It's good for love if you're looking to bring in love in your life. It's good for anything. It's basically a receptive card. Stay receptive, okay? We also see on this a lovely lotus blossom, and one of my favorite symbols because it shows that you've pushed through, just like that mushroom has, through the muck, through all the difficult stuff to get to the surface, to get to this moment. So good things are coming through for you already. We have 8 of Cups and 6 of Cups coming through here now, next. This is what I would expect to see in a retrograde period. The 8 of Cups is an opportunity for you to step away from something and try something new. So for those of you that have achieved a certain level of success and you want to grow, you want to push yourself, this is telling me that you don't have to do a full stop and go somewhere else. You can kind of put something on the side for a bit and try something new. The 8 of Cups gives you a chance to kind of put one foot in and one foot out. It is an open door, and at some point you may need or want to close it, but for now the door remains open. In relationship contexts, the 8 of Cups usually shows an on and off sort of energy. So for some of you, you may have a love interest in your life where maybe you're not married or engaged, but it's sort of like sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not so good, but you tend to always end up together. So what you want to look at is that consistency okay? Is it sporadic? Is that bothering you a little bit? What are you looking for? There could be a little bit more stability with this when we're looking at relationship cards, but it does show if you've met someone that there's a chance. If you've just kind of started to date someone, I see that picking up momentum. The one thing with this particular 8 of Cups is that you don't necessarily want to go upstream. This is kind of connected to my final thought when I was looking at the channel messages, which was you can't go back to the past sometimes. You can learn from the past. And sometimes we have this nostalgic lens of wanting to relive certain things, but most of us wouldn't choose to go back and repeat the past. We sometimes wish we could have changed things, but we're in this particular moment in time for a reason. And I would say try to embrace it and do the best with now. And I think that's key. All right. But there is something related to your past, an old friend, an old habit, an old job, something that's coming through again. And it's saying, are you done with that yet? If not, it's coming back again. And if not, and if you are rather, then it's time to sort of do something about it to close the door and open a new one. All right. We have 6 of Cups reversed in the crowning position. The 6 of Cups is also connected to the past cycles. This can be a best friend, a brother, sister, someone from childhood. So you have actually a lot of old energy from the past coming through right now. And I think some of you are just at this precipice that we saw, or at this crossroads where it's sort of like, I need to make a change to grow, to try something new, to get excited, to get inspired. Am I ready to let this go? Or how am I going to navigate the old me versus the new me, or me plus this? So you're in the middle of change, but it's manageable. You have a lot of support with the 6 of Cups. This is also a card of heightened partnership. So if I'm looking for a love card for you, I would say I love the 6 of Cups. This is the person that feels like immediately it's a best friend, or it's an old friend, or it's a past life connection with them. There's definitely a karmic relationship that would be connected to this 8 of Cups. Now with the card reversed, there could be a need, if it is karma, to even the scales. Sometimes when we reconnect, when we have a reunion with a karmic partner, it isn't always all rosy at the beginning, because we have to release something or learn something before now we can kind of have the celebration. So sometimes it's just beautiful and we decide to come back, but usually karmic reunions involve learning the lesson that wasn't learned before. So I've seen things where sometimes a person that abused power will work for you. I've also seen things where if you wronged the other person, then you are kind of like dependent upon them or beholden to their sort of decision. So the tables are turned, and notice that they're sitting at a table and the table was turned. So for you this month, there's a turning of fate and a turning of karma. And let's just imagine that it's going to be auspicious because I'm reading for you. So you're reclaiming something, okay? So if there's someone in your life that you reconnect with, or even from this lifetime, this particular moment, it's going to be different, all right? You're going to be stronger, you're going to be happier, you're going to be less dependent on them. The tables are turning, and that's what I see. So focus on being ready for that sort of shift to happen. And it's interesting too, sometimes time will do this alone. So let's say that there was someone like a bully at school, and you meet them years later, but life circumstances have maybe not been so kind, or you look at them and you think, why was I scared of that person? Or it's like Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion where Janine Garofalo's character was looking at whoever she had a crush on. She's like, what was I thinking? That's not connected to me. So whether it's a high school crush or it's a high school bully, or again, we were looking at that past sort of place it used to live at and you thought it was really big or whatever, I would say, things change over time. And the way that we look at things change over time. So give yourself a moment now to think like, I'm ready now for a different point of view, okay? And to sort of change the tables, and you'll be able to do that. All right, we have the World card here, and the World card is in reverse. And this is telling me that, again, something that you want to happen is very close, it's within reach. This is a card of expansion, travel, really allowing for something to hit it big. So if, again, especially for those of you that might be working on some sort of a product, a service, or even like some artistic endeavor, the World card is auspicious for that because it shows distribution, dissemination, acceptance. So I like that. I think that finish up what you've been working on and shop it around. This is a good time for that. For the rest of you, the World card is really about, are you ready to embrace the change? Because this window is wide open. So you have this revolving door in the past that says, yeah, you can keep going back here, but there's something here that's bigger. And I think that's what you have to choose between, is the predictable versus the choice for growth. Only you can decide. There's a lot of different things that might affect your decision of why you would go with predictable or why you would take a risk. I like it if you're taking a risk because it looks pretty good, but you have to decide. And maybe, again, these windows open and close. I can't tell you when it will reopen. I can tell you it's ready right now. So if you're ready and it's ready, this is the time to kind of step into it, okay? It could be as literal as a move or travel in your life as well. So I've been picking up on that for months. So I know a lot of you are trying to move on, and to kind of like expand, and that's all of that. And this is in the near future, by the way. So Gemini, you have a really nice energy as we look out towards the latter part of this year. It's looking good for you, okay? Hierophant, and this is you this month. So it feels like you want to create some structure in your life, some good habits. The Hierophant sometimes gets a bad rap, but it's a very effective card at putting together good structures that will stick, that will fit, that will be something that it's going to give you what you need. So create a schedule, create a positive sort of habit of what I'm going to do on this day and how I'm going to handle this. It can also not just be sort of like a habit, but it could be putting to words sort of like procedures and things like that. So I see you laying down the sort of like a blueprint, putting together a tangible schedule, getting into a good habit of waking and sleeping and working on things. So organization and a traditional sort of approach to that. The thing with this card, though, connected with the world, is that the traditional or conservative energy of this only serves you so far. Because if you're always conservative, you're never shifting or growing or changing or experiencing new things, because you think how it was and how it always has been is how it always should be. If that was the case, we'd still be in the caves using sticks and things like that. We have to keep trying new things. I agree that there are some things that make sense to, but the energy for you, Gemini, is how can you hold on to what keeps you, but also kind of like step into what might allow you to become more than you imagined. So you want to keep the pieces of you that are authentic, release the things, though, that are trappings from family, society, and fear itself. Those are the sort of challenges for you. But this is still a good foundational card. It's coming through in where I would kind of look at you, your ego, and how you're feeling. So that's the challenge. There's some conservative energy that's coming through for you. Let's look at what's going on around you. And I mentioned to be mindful of 7 and or 5 of swords. I see them as sister cards. So where one exists, the other one is usually shortly following it. So around you is 7 of swords. This isn't you, it's people around you. So people around you may be trying to get away with something. People around you may say they're going to do something and then they just can't do it. They don't understand themselves. So they're kind of lying to themselves and lying to you. And what you're going to try to do is not to get in that sticky situation. If somebody tries to do or does something that harms you, then you want to stand up. We have the warrior card and say, stop it. This doesn't work with me. Try it on someone else, but not on me. Or do it again and I report you. Like I said, you have to be direct with them, but you don't want to get entangled with them. So avoid Seven of Swords moments, which would be someone that's trying to say, oh, don't worry, no one will notice. Oh, let's talk about this. You can trust me. Or trying to get you to somehow betray a trust or whatever. It's not you, it's around you. So be mindful of it. You can completely avoid the Seven of Swords if you're awake, aware, and strong. Okay. So we have nothing to worry about there other than not listening to the voice in our head that says, I don't want to do that. I shouldn't talk to this person. This isn't a good idea. All right. If we move past that, we have the Ace of Cups. It's in the reverse position, but it's in possibilities. So for some of you, there is an unexpected connection, again, with possibly a friendship or a love in your life. But with it reverse, the question is, are you ready to receive it? Do you feel I am worthy of this? Do you feel the other person is wanting too much too fast? Is the timing not what you want? Something's off a little bit with that. Make sure that it's mutually beneficial. Try not to let something slip through your hands because of confidence issues, and we all go through that. Because the fact that this came through in your spread tells me you are worth it. You may not be ready, but the universe sees the potential and thinks you're ready, but you have to believe it. And even though judgment didn't come through, some of you may be going through it now because the world came through. And like I said, those two are very close. So trust yourself, believe in yourself, see that this is possible, rise above. We have the Six of Pentacles, a balancing card here in the outcome. This one is showing a partnership energy. So again, I feel like when we're looking at Six of Pentacles, rather than money, although I'll talk about money in a second, it could be a realignment or a changing of sort of like who's in charge when it comes to karmic relationships. Sometimes when I read for people like on a one-on-one basis, they'll say, I'm looking for a soulmate. And I think that we have put too much emphasis on soulmates or twin flames or whatever you want to call them. Soulmates are all good and stuff, but like I said, there's baggage. So just imagine that you're picking someone up from the airport and they have like 30 sort of, carry-ons and different sort of suitcases and things like that. That's a lot of baggage. Then imagine that you have someone and they just have a really small carry-on and it fits in the back seat. You don't even have to pop up the trunk. That's the kind of karmic partner you want, not the one that has like this sort of like almost horde of energy behind them. So I would say a soulmate can cut both ways. Be careful when you're manifesting this and say, I'm looking for love in the highest form. If you want a deep connection with someone, say, let the energy be clean. Let us be equal partners that can celebrate one another. You don't want to just say, God and universe, send me a soulmate. You don't know what you're going to get. So make sure that it's a nice, clean slate, a good sort of thing, and that you're not working on the power struggles there. The Six of Pentacles in this particular illustration can also show that you're going to balance work and life energy. Normally, I would get that with like the Two of Pentacles, but because we see these two people kind of like making out in this card, I would say this Six of Pentacles has more to do with how much time and energy am I going to invest in my family and the passions in my life. So that can also, doesn't have to always be physical energy here. It can also be sort of deciding to put passion into work, into health, into fitness, into changing the world for the better, putting it externally. But Six of Pentacles is the one card that I would look at for success, especially for success on the heels of change. So for those of you that are ready to embrace the energy of the world, then the Six of Pentacles is saying, you've got this, you can do it, you'll make it work. What's missing in this particular illustration is the scales. So aside from justice itself, this is the other card that has scales in it. So balance your budget, balance your resources, look at your work-life balance, look at just finding the perfect balance in your life. Because you have more resources in the Six of Pentacles than the Two, which is the other balance card, I would say you're looking pretty good. I would love for you to have a little bit more, but I'm happy with Six of Pentacles. So it feels like you're going to be in a good place financially. You're going to be in a good place to navigate change. And balance is the key thing that you're kind of ending up with here. So change, but change for the better. All right, let's expand the forecast now. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and get some additional insight into what's going on. If you just joined, Perfect timing. We're just in the middle of the cards here. We're about almost at the midpoint of the reading, so great timing. Let's talk about the health card here. This reminds me of when I was like, I think it was in elementary school, 5th grade or something. One of the teachers said, ask your parents what trip the light fantastic means. It's kind of a hippie phrase here, which is really to have some fun. And the caption beneath it says, dance with the universe, if you kind of zoom in really close. And it almost looks like love beads that she's walking through from like the 60s or 70s. So I love that. The card is reversed. So for some of you, you may have a hard time letting go. You may have a hard time giving yourself permission to have fun. You may be holding back from letting others see like a true part of you, the real side of you. The fact is, if you are happy, if you are joyful, if you're really authentic to yourself, there's no way that this should or could really make people not love you or not be happy about you or with you or celebrate you. So should that happen, then it's actually like a litmus test where you can tell that that person wasn't in it for the long run. Be yourself, basically, is what we're seeing with this. Have some fun. And it's healthy to have fun. I feel like I'm sometimes a broken record when I talk about that, but it's really important for you to know that joy and playtime and sort of just having fun, it helps open up the productive energy and the creative energy that we all have in our life, right? So anyway, yeah, this is a phrase from last century, but it's a cool one. So have some fun. And the important piece on this is light and fantastic. So when you're in that joyful energy, it is attached. Joy and love are energies associated with the divine, and it brings fantastic outcomes to you. Let's look specifically at some health messages here. With the 9 of Wands, sometimes this can be connected to migraines because you're working so hard that you just kind of feel beaten down. It can be stress because there is a pushy energy with this. Normally there is a bandage around the head. So some of you may have suffered head trauma. There may be dementia. There may be other things going on. And this is just really about taking care of yourself. All right. This is an important part of our physiology here. So take care of your brain. Make sure that you're also eating foods that supply good nutrients for your brain. So work with a doctor, work with a nutritionist, and also take some time to decompress to make sure that the brain isn't getting overtaxed. Okay. And I've spoken in an earlier reading this month about the importance of sleep. You know, when we're in college or when we're in high school, we can get away with pulling an all-nighter, but the older you get, the more important it is just to get a good night's sleep and get up early. And if you have a boss that expects you to answer the phone at like midnight or something like that, that's a bigger thing that you want to look at. I think it's not healthy. So finding healthy limits and boundaries and not sort of feeling like you have to succumb to that old habit, because you could just say, I'm no good after that period of time. You can bother someone else. I'm here from 9 to 5. You can bother me on my commute if you want to, but when I'm home, and I need to sleep and I need to rest and I need to eat and I need to walk the dog. There's no reason that shouldn't be able to happen, or the trade-off maybe isn't worth it. Okay. Let me see what else is here. There's a lot of cups coming through, 8 of cups, 6 of cups, and the Ace of Cups. So for many of you, I would say emotions are going to be playing a really big part this month. You also want to be mindful of pressure when it comes to bigger groups. Again, this is peer pressure on some levels to maybe say things you don't want to say, do things you want to do, or drink, because there's a lot of drinks coming through with this. So just be moderate when it comes to all of that. The 6 of Pentacles is reminding you of that. Overall, things are looking pretty good. I would say there may be someone around you that tends to be a bad influence and gets you into the old habits, because this is like when you have the little angel and devil on your shoulder. This is the devil whispering, don't worry about it. You can do this. We'll be fine. Let's have another drink. Let's stay out until 3 a.m, whatever it is. Don't listen to that. It's either it's temptation itself or it's a person that's kind of bringing that in and you want to tune it out. Otherwise, you actually have pretty good cards, I have to say. I see a lot with the head. So you either are thinking too much or there might be migraines or something else. So take a look at that to make sure that your brain health is where it needs to be. The rest seems to be environmental, which is avoidable. Have fun, but don't overdo it, I would say, with this. For those of you that don't have fun, allow yourself to have fun. That's probably why you're having stress headaches and things like that. All right, moving on to wealth. Things are going to come to the surface. It's for the better. I'm trying to get this so it doesn't glare. So we have the rain card here. So for some of you with rain, this could be difficulties. Like sometimes this is sadness, this is anger. This can be depression. This can also just be a mess that's getting cleaned up at work. So when we're looking at work, money, and situations that involve your resources, it's time to clean them up. That's what we're really seeing with this. And sometimes things have to get messier or dirtier before they get cleaned. So if you've ever cleaned, Apollo's pretty good. He's sitting down behind me. He typically doesn't get into the mud too much or anything, but I've seen videos of dogs that like to just like roll in the mud. If you're going to clean a dog, it's going to be a mess at the beginning. You got to keep getting through all that. There's going to be a mess everywhere. Eventually you get your cute puppy underneath it. So you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do some work to clean things up this month with finances. I do think there's room for growth, and I'd actually like to maybe look at this either in the questions that I put out there for you, or maybe in the soul path when I look at a question. I do think that there's a need right now to focus on clearing up finances and finding like new channels for that. For some of you, it might just be a question of reinvestment and things like that. But let me look more specifically at what you should be paying attention on. The only thing that can take you off path this month is someone around you that is trying to make you do something you know isn't right. So avoid that. I think some of you are on the precipice of a really big change. So if you feel like you want to make a move and do something, it looks like it's for the better. It could be a change in like rebranding for a business. It could be a different job. It could be moving for work to another state, country, etc. But whatever you're thinking of doing, this 180, it looks really good. And it looks like you're going to be able to manage this. You're not the only one in this equation. There's some other people at the table here with you. So this could be friends, family, or loved ones. And you have to weigh out how this is going to affect them as well. But overall, I really like what I see, especially when we see the world in the Six of Pentacles, expansion and having more than enough resources. I'd like you to have even more than this card shows, but you've got what it takes to make a necessary change in your life, which is great. I think that's the main things that came through for this. Oh, one last thing, which is really cool. So we have the 8 of Cups here. If you applied for a job and it didn't work out before, but it just came to be available again, this is really auspicious. This tells me that you have a second chance at that. Also, if there's just something where you felt like it didn't work before, try it one more time. The fact that the world is showing up in the near future tells me you have a good shot this time around. Okay, let's move on to relationships. We have the Bee spirit with prosperity. The card is reversed, but let's go kind of close in on this, this really cute card. So the Bee spirit, to me, you would be the bee here in relationships. And what this is showing me is it's important for you to focus on how can I grow? How can my partner grow? Also, just if you are single and happy, this would be about how can I make the most of this moment? And a pollinator actually has the ability to like spread a lot of love, spread a lot of wealth, and is the person that people are going to be paying attention to. So you may find yourself in the spotlight like a queen bee. So for those that are single and happy, this is about really stepping into that and creating more from that. If you're in a relationship, it's about making sure that you both are growing and you both are producing, and it's equal partnership, because bees have a very hierarchical sort of structure. Everybody has a job. Everyone has like a swim lane or a fly lane, as it would be with them. But knowing and understanding where each of you are going to be able to contribute is key. Okay. Let's go a little bit deeper. Now, a bee can sting too. So one thing that we want to be careful of, we've seen poison in all of the totems, all the animal totems this month. But it isn't necessarily something that comes out like certain things are toxic just so that they don't get consumed, or the bee has a stinger to protect itself or to protect the hive. But I would say don't shake the nest is basically what we're seeing here. That's why I'm trying to have you avoid unnecessary external things. So with this being in a relationship, it's less about you and your partner, and it would be more about like in-laws, friends, coworkers. And you're going to have to, hopefully you and your partner are together and aligned, and you're not going to let one of those parties come in between, because that's the danger that I see with this month. So let's break it down. I'm already talking a little bit about partners. So we'll look at people that are partnered. We'll look at people that are looking for love. And then we'll look at folks that are single and happy or focused on other things in their life. So again, for partnership energy, if you're in a long-term relationship, this is for you. First of all, I feel like you have a good person there, because we have the four of Wands rather at the center. And that shows me trust and fidelity and things like that. So that's good. Like there's nobody else. It's the two of you. That if you can keep it in that energy, that's going to be key. It feels like you've worked really hard to get to this moment. It may not have always been perfect, but it's at a good place right now. Always use love as the sort of cornerstone of the conversations. I definitely can see friends and family stepping in this month, and your biggest challenge is you can't make everyone happy. No one there's no way to make everyone at the table a happy camper. It does feel like one or both of you are ready to move on or take something to the next level. So maybe if you've been dating someone for a while, this could be popping the question. Maybe you both are going to move for work. Maybe there's something big that's happening and the two of you are just supporting one another. As long as you're focused on the union that we see with the Four of Wands, and as long as you understand that you can't make everyone happy, and you don't let one person's comment in the surrounding area around you, whether it's friend, family, or in-laws, get in between you, you're okay. You'll find a new balance. You'll find a way to kind of make this work. So there's a big shift that you're working through, but it always goes back to friendship and love. And as long as you keep it there, I feel like you'll be all right. If you're being pushed in a relationship to do something you don't want, and it doesn't feel right, you need to trust that and call that out and check it for what it is. The opportunity here is, again, I feel like for some of you, it's an offer on the table. Do you want to move with me? Do you want to move in with me? Do we want to take this to another level? So it's that sort of offer, and you have to decide what to do with it. Okay. Overall, it looks pretty good. But I do feel like fighting the fights that are worth fighting, but not otherwise, is going to be key, because that stinger can come out. All right. And we don't want that to happen. And you don't want to sting each other, basically. All right. If you are looking for love this month, I definitely get the necessary receiving energy coming through. So that's good. It feels like you're receptive. I feel like it's not the month to be set up. Your friends or family isn't telling you everything about this person that you're going to be set up with, or you're not going to like who it is. So say no to setups this month. I also feel like it would be nice if you could meet someone that's out of your circle of friends, family, and work. The World card is sometimes an outsider coming in. It can even be someone from another country. So we're getting sort of a worldly energy, and it's probably not something that people were expecting. And who cares if they don't approve of it, by the way? That's the important thing. It should feel good to you. Trust yourself over them and see where that leads. The other thing that I'm seeing coming through is that you're putting out a very conservative energy. So you'll either be met with an equally conservative energy, or there'll be someone coming in that might counter that, and they're like more extroverted and more sort of more of a free spirit. So check why the conservative energy is coming through. Is it because that's what you want, or is it because that's what's been kind of pushed on you? Ultimately, your biggest challenge will be time and resources with this person. So are you making enough time to be with them? The Six of Pentacles shows me that you can, but they're probably going to want a little bit more. And that's the tricky piece. This could be someone from the past that's coming back with the 8 and the 6 of Cups. So just remember what I said earlier, that you want to balance the karmic energy first, turn the tables, get everything in a nice even place, and then decide if it's still what you want. If you are single and happy, or if you're divorced or retired, or just don't really want to focus on love right now, it's actually a great time, because this is a good time for you to make a physical move, for you to go 110% in a project or an endeavor, because the World card is saying, hey, it's going to take off. And you've worked really hard to get to this moment. The interesting thing is, even if you're not looking for love, hold some space for a partnership or an opportunity or some good news to come in, because I see people knocking on your door with the Four of Wands, and you really have a great ability to connect with people. So you should be doing networking events, even if it's virtual this month. Make time for the networking, for sure. And you may get an offer that's better than you expected for something in your life, including love. Be open to it, because even if you're not expecting it, we've got Page of Cups, 8 of Cups, 6 of Cups, and Ace of Cups. People are going to play a big role in this month ahead, whether you're ready or not. So embrace it, because I think it's going to be good for you. Might be just a good time to get involved in an extracurricular activity, to meet some new friends, especially if you're sick of some of your old friendships, or if someone kind of acted a fool. The Fool in this particular deck is dressed the same way as the 7 of Swords, which is kind of interesting. So I feel someone might be acting foolishly, and it's a good chance for you to just hit the reset. Okay. Let's look now at your final card in this particular spread, which is Destiny, and it says grace and gratitude are going to be key to opening the doors to new things. Through gratitude, joy expands. I would also say opportunities present themselves. So thinking to yourself, I'm so happy that I got through that difficult situation. It may not have been what I expected, but it was a great teacher. I'm so happy now that I've been able to achieve this or understand this, or I'm also grateful that, I know that some people may be struggling in this area and this area, and I'm not. Find areas of your life that you can celebrate. Be graceful. The graceful piece is important when you're around people like this who are not. You've got to show how to be rather than emulating what's going on around you. Let's look at the big idea, and then let's get into blessings and blocks. I think the big idea this month, it's all about expansion. We didn't get judgment, but we got the card right after it, which is the world. So you're in the card of judgment right now, which is believing in what you know you need to do, like listening to the higher calling, believing in it, accepting it, and surrendering to it. If you can do that, I feel like big growth is on the horizon for you. Another component of this month is old relationships and the turning of tables or the equaling out of karma. So I like that. And balance, ultimately finding the necessary balance in your life. All right. So let's focus now on blessings for this next 6 to 8 week period ahead and see what's coming through for you. All right. So blessings, things to focus on, things to be aware of, things to look out for because they'll help you. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Let's see what this is. All right, we have the Knight of Cups. This Knight of Cups is really interesting because it's almost as if it's coming to him like cosmically, and he's receiving. And if you look at his cape is almost the same colors of this as well. So putting yourself in the flow of abundance and channeling that from the heart center, like I'm ready to receive good news and things in the highest possible good for me as well. So I see good news on the horizon for you. I see it connected to people. I'm so sorry if you don't want to be around people, if you have hermit energy, it's not going to be the case this month because we've got Page of Cups, 8 of Cups, 6 of Cups, Ace of Cups, and now we have the Knight of Cups. So there's a lot of water energy coming through. Great for creativity, great for partnering up, great for healing old relationships as well. So you've got to focus on the people around you are going to be able to help you, and your passion and your love and your joy and making room for some of that in your life is going to be key also to your success. So the blessing this month is love and passion and people, being able to kind of like connect with that, even if you feel like you're a little bit of a hermit. Not many Geminis are, but if you are, this is the month to get out of that hermit energy because there's too much good connections happening. If someone says, can we meet up or can we talk? See what that conversation leads to because it looks like it's good. So spend some time with people. Some of you, the hidden blessing could be a change or a movement with respect to love. So this could be someone offering you something and it's something that you like. So I like that. So there's great energy connected to the heart this month for you, Gemini. And who couldn't use some good news with that? That's great. Okay. All right, let's move on to potential blocks. By the way, it could be a water sign coming in if you're single and looking. All right. So be on the outlook for that and stay open. All right, let's look now at potential blocks. So I actually really like the way this strength card is illustrated. This is showing that you don't have to try to convince somebody. This is really about making sure that you can just be a strong person without having to sort of like force people to think your way or to. This is going to help you in arguments. Let me like restate this. So, and I just had an experience myself with this too. So sometimes we can just agree to have differing opinions on things. So if you have two strong minds, sometimes you're going to meet an impasse. So the block for you this month could be that you both are very passionate about one point of view. It doesn't make either point of view wrong. What you're going to have to figure out is how to meet at the midpoint. If you keep pushing and saying, but this is how I feel, and this is how I feel, and this is how I feel, it is exhausting. It is a waste of energy. It might actually make you say something you don't like. It may bring you into the 7 of Swords. So you could say, thanks for your input. This is how I'm going to proceed. Done. I'm not soliciting any more. I understand your point of view. This is how I'm going to proceed. You can even say, if you need to be blunt, thanks, I wasn't asking for your advice. It's a little bit, it's a little icy, but it can have a good effect if someone keeps pushing it in. Say, okay, let's move on. Now let's talk about this. Just change the topic. And even if it is a little icy, they're going to know you're standing up for yourself. Because with the strength card, there's someone that sometimes wants to get you to say what they're saying. Typically, we see her trying to move the mouth of the lion or the tiger or the beast. So no one's going to move your mouth. Nobody's more right than the other person. You have different points of view, and there's a validity to both. You got to follow your own mind this month. So use something to just kind of clearly say, okay, next. You can be very clear like that. You can be a little bit more distinct, or if you could just say, this conversation's over, let's talk about something else. Sometimes we have to go there, and it's important, and it's good to stand up for yourself. And that person will think, okay, I guess I can't. All right. So it's an impasse. You're not going to be right, and they're not going to be right, and neither of you are going to get agreed to what's being said. So just stop the conversation. It's better. Take a deep breath, get a drink of water, move on. You'll both be happier for that. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next portion, which is a little bit interactive, and then I'm going to read a question while I'm having you vote on it. So at this point, I always like you to vote on something. So I'm going to look at the cards in front of me and ask a few questions. So as I'm kind of glancing down at these, I want to look at the big expanding moment. I think that's kind of intriguing. So we're going to do a live poll here. Give me a second to type. I'll let you know when you're able to vote on it. I'm going to type things right now. So we're going to do a viewer's choice, and we're going to look at, the first thing is focusing on expansion, since we have like the world card energy. So it's just kind of see what that moment or that message is about expansion. The next thing that I'd like to look at is turning the tables, since that was a big, this is like the Six of Pentacles. This would be for like karmic relationships. And then the next piece would be, I'm going to actually save this one for the question that I'll ask. And then let me see what this one, what we were just talking about, how to walk away. So if that strength card comes up again. So how to walk away, strength, or stand up. Well, again, in this one, this is more about this one, like how to redirect. Let's put it that way, because walk away sounds passive. So how to redirect. Okay, so here are your three things that you can vote on while I take a look at another question or two. Feel free to vote. This won't work on a television, but if you're looking at it on any sort of mobile device and the website, it should work fine. It'll be at the top of the chat near the pinned comment that I have. You can vote on it. Okay, so what I wanted to look at was, what's the message about cyclical energy, since we're either in retrograde or on the heels of it, depending on when you watch. So we're kind of looking at the Eight of Cups energy for this. So what cycles do you have to be aware of in the next month to make or break? Okay, so there's a big financial shift happening for many of you, and it's a good one. We have an Ace of Pentacles. Could be an offer on the table, and it could also be something that you're trying to offer to someone. And it matches my shirt. So I would say it's really important for you to kind of accept this, or at least consider this option or this offer on the table for you. If you've had not so good financial energy over the past year or so, this is showing a change for the better. There may be a component to this financial change, which is moving or traveling, and you have to kind of sort that out and think if that makes sense. This is also reminding me of the garden that I was looking at. So if we connect it to the very last message that I didn't even put in my index cards, but came through in dreams, in order for future growth and success to happen, you have to release the past. And that's why this came through in a retrograde reading. So it's important for you to let it go, embrace the future. And then I saw a lot of flowers blooming, a lot of abundance. So it's looking good. All right, let me see where the poll is at for you. Looks like we have a pretty clear winner. So let me end the poll, put my glasses on so I can read what it says once it's tabulated. And then I'm going to look at the question that you guys selected for me. So let's get these cards kind of cleaned up here. And I'm going to shuffle while I'm waiting for it to tabulate. And by 52%, we have focusing on the energy of the world card on expansion. Okay, good. All right, so let's see where the growth opportunity is for all of you. How can you grow? Where can you grow? What do you need to know about growth? What a great card to come through. Okay, we have Three of Pentacles. Let's turn it up, right? So the Three of Pentacles is a card where, first of all, we see recognition coming through. So for those of you that have been working really, really hard at completing something, this is saying, yes, it's finally time. You're finally aligned to what you've been kind of like working for. The card is reversed, however. So for some of you, you could be frustrated because this isn't a direct application of your training or skills. It may be pushing you in a different way. You may be doing something a little bit out of the lines and not expected, but I think it's good. I think you'll grow and get recognized for stepping out of your comfort zone. So sometimes when you push, like sometimes it's a singer and they reach for that high note and they hit it, oh my gosh, that's something to remember. And if it's an author or a reporter and they write in a voice they normally wouldn't, but it hits that right chord, it's okay. So you're asking to kind of step out and step up a little bit from what your normal approach would be. Feels like you'll be recognized for that. This is a really good card for those of you that are putting something to paper, like writing a proposal, finishing your thesis, writing a book, writing a curriculum, reporting on something, or otherwise looking at written documents. It tells me that you're going to get a lot out of this experience. So for those of you that might be trying to sell something, since we've got the Ace of Pentacles and now we have the Three of Pentacles, people recognize the value. Ultimately, this is recognition. Now, the fact that this card was reversed reminds you that you need to feel really good, put like top quality, whatever you're working on in your life. If you feel good about it and you're excited about it, great. If not, don't release it yet. Don't try to sell it yet. Don't sign on the dotted line until it feels right for you. For those of you that may not be going to school, may not be selling anything, may not be focusing on something like that, this is also about a lack of recognition that's coming through. So if you're at a place of work or in a relationship where the partner doesn't recognize your contributions or the boss doesn't recognize your contributions, it's time to fix that. You need to have a conversation. And this shows me that there's a paper trail. There's receipts, as they would say nowadays. So you want to look at your receipts and let the other person see that. So if it's a boss and you've been talking about it and legitimately you have an email chain or a text chain or it's in your performance report for the year, say, well, you're not holding up your end of the bargain and that's not acceptable. So we need to talk about how to remedy that. If it's a partner, you could just kind of let them know that you're seeing what's going on. And hopefully they can infer from that it's time to make some changes. So you should be getting the recognition you deserve, one way, shape, or form, even if you have to fight a little bit for that recognition. All right. That's the message on expansion. I do see a contract being signed, though, definitely with the Three of Pentacles, that for some of you, there's something really good on the horizon. Okay, so that's the main portion of our reading because we've gone through just about everything here. The channel messages, Celtic Cross, big idea, blessings box, soul path. So we're going to focus now on the next sort of closing portion of the reading. What I'd like you to do before I get into the meditation is to write down the question that you have for me. So maybe it's a question about your job or your relationship or something of that nature. Scribble it down or just keep it in your head as we're meditating. And then when we're done, think about it and I'll pull a card. The next portion of this reading is going to be a quick meditation. Before I get into that, just a couple of quick notes. Again, I only ask a couple of times in any given reading, but if you haven't hit the like button yet, please hit it. You can only do it once. And if you've never subscribed, please do that because we're really close to a milestone right now. And once I get to that, I'll do something special. I'll do a Q&A for everybody. So we're close to that. Help me get to the next milestone for subscribers. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to show a little support, you can do super chat and I'll say your name at the end. You can also give back if you happen to watch this on replay. There's a thanks button right by share and I will give you a heart for doing that. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can click on my pinned comment. I'm at Nicholas Ashbaugh on most platforms or Ashbaugh on Twitter. And all of that information is in the pinned comment. All right, let's get into the meditation. I remember that I talked about a tree because of the tree frog and even mushrooms grow on that. So let's use a tree. And if I'm looking at there's this lovely expansive energy with the world card. So I'd like to kind of imagine that you could get a bird's eye view, like we'll kind of travel the energy of the tree to see things from the top. So let's do that. And then we're going to do a special sound bath using this crystal pyramid. So we'll start with the meditation. Close your eyes. I want you just to see yourself in a beautiful forest, emerald green energy all around you. That is the color of your heart chakra. So I want you to find a place where you can sit down. Maybe there's some moss beneath you. There's a lovely tree right behind you. As you lean back on that sort of tree trunk, I want you to imagine that as you breathe, you could imagine that your breath is an offering to the trees, to the grass, to the moss rather around you. And with each breath that you take, you kind of get this symbiotic connection to the forest around you. So leaning into the tree, just saying thank you for the support, thank you for being here, and asking permission to traverse its energy to go up and down. Just know that the tree is giving you permission, and you kind of melt into the energy of the tree for that moment. I want you first to ground yourself. So imagine that you could travel through the root structure, which we talked about being in not just the tree, but the mushrooms and all the other sort of plant life around it. So imagine that you're going beneath the soil, following the roots of the tree, but also seeing all of the underground network of life and energy and even just sort of the insect life that exists beneath the surface. There's life everywhere. As you go deeper and deeper, traveling past the trunks even, I want you to connect with the core energy of this planet, which is alive basically as well. It's moving. There's a molten core. There's a convection. There's movement happening. And I want you to feel that heat and that energy. Take some of that back up with you as you travel now through the trunk, through the top branches, all the way to the trees. And now let's just soak in the sunlight for a second. And just like a big ace of pentacles or ace of cups, allow yourself now to receive. This is your chance to bring in light, bring in abundance, bring in love of the highest possible source. Take a moment now and imagine that you could see from this perspective, maybe connecting a little bit with the tree frog at the top, and look around at your life, because this isn't just the forest. Look behind you, look beside you, look in front of you. Look at what you've been doing, what you're currently creating, and where this is going to take you. That's what I want you to focus on as we meditate. And I just want you to just relax now and see what your guides bring to you as I play this pyramid here. So give me a second to get set up and just relax and enjoy. Take a nice deep breath. Allow yourself to gently travel back through the branches, through the trunk. Connect again with your body, bringing the visions, bringing the understanding of what is possible, what is happening, what is available to you into your higher consciousness. Making a decision now that you're going to embrace this in your life, that you're ready for that change. Gently open your eyes if you haven't already. And let's take a look now at your final question that you have for me. Hold it in your mind. You don't need to type it out or anything. Just hold it in your mind or read whatever you wrote. Let me shuffle the cards now and connect to what's going on for you. Okay, so we have the Three of Swords, but it's reversed. So as a yes/no question, it's going to be dependent on how you asked me. Is it time to let go of something in your life? Yes. Is it okay to move beyond and to try something different? Yes, and it's yes because your heart's not in it. If you don't feel like you want to do something, then the answer would be no. Should I take this job? Should I say yes to this opportunity? Not if you don't want to. Your heart is the important piece. So it's really important in how you formed your question to me. So the important thing is that 110% you feel it here. So if you don't feel it here, don't do it. If you feel it and you're ready for a change and you want to be happy, yes, happiness is the key piece. Healing is possible because the card is reversed. It's basically saying I'm tired of feeling this way, and that you can love again, that you can experience joy again. All of that stuff is actually part of this card in the reverse state. Just to pull a clarifying, whenever I get like Tower, Ten of Swords, or Death or something like that, I like to kind of see one more card. So just to kind of clarify once more with the Three of Swords, if there's something more that you need to know. We have the King of Wands in reverse, which is basically saying, don't overthink this. And don't let someone push you into doing something that you don't want to do. So again, there's an encouragement not to make a decision for someone else, to do it because it feels right, because you know it's you and you all along, on this sort of journey. So you know what to do already. So trust that higher understanding. Don't overthink it, and don't let someone push you or manage you into doing something that doesn't feel right. There you go. Those are the main messages there for those final two cards. Let's go ahead now and wrap up everything for today. Let me give you a link to my schedule. So if you would like to join me, by the way, I'll be back again tomorrow reading for Cancer. So here's a link to my upcoming forecast. If you haven't already looked at the 7-day forecast for this week, there's still a few days left in it. You can watch last week's collective and see what sort of like resonates with that. And we'll also be doing another collective this Sunday. And every Sunday I'm doing that. I'm doing a special one on Halloween, which is going to help us connect to ancestral energy, to those who have been that we've lost that are passed in spirit. So that'll be a magical one. It's always my favorite, I think, is the Halloween show. So we'll be doing something in a couple weeks for Halloween. But every Sunday, I'm here to help you kind of navigate through the week ahead. So please feel free to join me. Thank you to everybody that showed up today. If you like what you see here, share it with some people in your life. Let them know what I do. That's a great way for the channel to grow. There's a little share button here too. One last thing, if you like sci-fi fantasy, I don't mention this all the time. I have a book. It's called The Luminous Ones. You can go to my website for some more information about that. It's like Lord of the Rings or Dune, kind of epic sort of nature. Not an easy read, but one for those of you that like that kind of sort of literature that you might enjoy. All right, let's wrap up. I just want to say thank you and offer some gratitude to those of you that gave back. So I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll say goodbye for today. So let me quickly log in and just see who gave back today, and I'll say thank you so much. Let's take a look here. And first of all, I just want to say thanks for all the support. Like, we are very close to a milestone, and I've been doing this for a while. So I'm always honored when we get close to one of those. So thanks to everybody, including my existing Patreon supporters and channel members. I see you and appreciate you. All right. So for today, let me just get into the right button here. I should have had this open, but allows me to just chat a little bit here. So we have some new members. Daryl, thank you so much for joining, and Jenna as well. And I see we also had a couple people that just rejoined probably before the reading here. So one is just a bunch of numbers and letters. So PM9A, thank you so much. All right, let's go into the folks that gave back specifically in the reading today. So let's see here. All right, Gemini, here's who gave back. Thank you so much, Touche. Good to see you, Touche B336 Tarot. Isha Marie, Misty Creates, Aurora Erica, Christina, Sammy B, New Moon in Cancer, Debbie McGinnis, and Jenna Johnson. You've all given today, and I appreciate that. Let me just see if I missed anything. I think I grabbed everyone. Thank you so much. A reminder again, on replay, you can always use the thanks button. In the meantime, much love and light, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Really, as I walk away from it today, it just feels like change is the name of the game for you, and change for the better. And please, 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 you deserve to be happy. So if you don't feel it, don't do it. If it makes you feel happier, if it brings that joy in your life, yes, this is the time to trip the light. Fantastic. Try not to get in your way and overthink. This is something that Gemini can do. Get lost in your thoughts, so don't. Go with what your heart is telling you. It's going to help you, okay? Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow. All right, bye-bye. Thanks again to Maria Margarita for her help, too. Thank you.